When I was growing up, someone told me never underestimate other people's stupidity, and sadly they had a point. So a few years ago, I worked as a doorman in one of those insane Park Avenue buildings in New York City. I'm talking like a couple blocks away from where Jeff Epps' crib was at. Insane. And as a doorman, you don't have to do much, right? Your main responsibility is to just open the door and also to make sure, no one sketchy gets into one of these insane apartment buildings. So one night, this random dude walks into the lobby and he tells the night guy who's on the door he's visiting the penthouse. And the doorman just let him up. And the next morning, the old lady who lives in the penthouse alone calls down asking why she just heard her kitchen door close. This dude pulled up, slept in one of the bedrooms, showered, and made breakfast before walking out of a $20 million penthouse that he did not own. Now that's textbook stupid, right? Letting some random dude into a apartment like that in the middle of the night. There's that old saying, you can't fix stupid. And the guy got fired too, which sucks because he was a cool dude. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about stupid versus smart. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed myself. What I'm talking about today is why are we all collectively getting dumber? They tell the writers at Netflix now that when they write their shows, write them around the fact that people are going to be on their phone at the same time as they are watching the show. And dude, I can't even act like high and mighty here because until about 2-3 years ago, my ass did not really know how to watch a movie, much less read a book. It's insane, but it's how we grew up. I can't tell you how many movies I had already seen that I've rewatched recently, and it felt like I was watching it for the first time. Like Scarface is one of my favorite movies. The World Is Yours. The whole aesthetic of that movie is amazing, right? It's my Twitter background. Follow me on there if you have not. But I rewatched it a few weeks ago without a phone in my hand. For the first time, I gave that full, 2.5, however long movie my full attention. And it was like a totally different experience. It's like I've seen this movie multiple times, but here I am feeling like I've watched it for the first time. Growing up when I did, giving something my full attention was not something that came naturally, right? That's with school, movies, shows, even conversations. So in a way, I was dumb maxing since I was a kid, right? But now, and I don't have to tell you guys this, it's not just YouTube and social media. Those were the OG brain rotters, but now we have short form content on top of that. You may be like, why is this bad? How is this making us dumb? It killed boredom, dude. Boredom has become this thing that we don't need to deal with anymore. And the price of that is being a dumbass who can't focus, can't critically think, and can't make decisions without getting overwhelmed. If I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is scroll on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, which is how I lived for many years, by the way, my ass will be operating on low power mode that entire day. Something I've picked up on is how easy it is for me to read a book first thing in the morning compared to how hard it is a few hours later after I've been on my phone all day. And me personally, I feel my dumbest when I just let myself inhale information like a sponge, dude. Like it's not even like just short form content. It's not as simple as garbage in, garbage out. It can be the news, Twitter, my E-Trade, my Whoop. I'm checking like my heart rate and shit throughout the day. The irony that I have unlimited information, unlimited intelligence at my fingertips, but my brain gets less and less useful throughout the day as I consume all that information is crazy to me. I feel the least dumb, the sharpest in the morning before I get any of that reaches my head, right? When I just have my breath and my coffee and my book. Then throughout the day, I get dumber and dumber. Dude, like I'm going to get to this in a bit, but the more I let technology into my life, the dumber I feel. And something I've been doing a lot more recently is playing basketball with the bros. Perfect, exercise, no screens involved. It's fun exercise, dude. Like just constantly running is like torture. It gets to a point, right? But anyway, we're balling the other day, and on the other side of the court is a group of probably 10-year-olds also playing basketball. And I overheard one of them say, "Yo, dude, you just lost so much aura." 10 years old. You ever been punched in the gut? This is what that felt like for me. Because why are these 10-year-olds using the same terminology that we are? When I was 10, I don't think the 25-year-olds then who are now 40, which is insane, but there's no way that they were using the same, lingo that we were. And I mean, I guess, we were in the same Modern Warfare 2 lobbies probably, but the point still stands. Our humor, our lingo was not the same as the 25-year-olds at the time, right? I was still ripping sponge at 10, dude. Things like TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Shorts, none of these apps care how old the swiper is, obviously, right? So meme culture spreads to all ages now. It's like a fire these days. Like Never forget when rizz hit the streets like crack in the 80s, dude, right? There was little kids saying it. There was, my own people were saying it. My older sisters asking me what it means, and I was like, wow, this is fried. I started like laughing. I was like, what is going on? But that keeps happening. It's like, obviously kids are growing up faster because of the internet. We've been known that, but it's also going the other way around, where I think we're getting dumber and the lines that, usually separate generations are getting blurrier, which is scary because I don't want to be geeking at the same joke that, little Stevie's laughing at the playground. I just don't want to be. And the worst part is some of it is genuinely funny, dude. And so I'm not sure if it's my humor that's cooked or if it's theirs. Even the word cooked, for example, like the kids are saying cooked and so am I. It's a me problem. I'm clearly a dumbass, but it's scary either way. Speaking of scary, let's talk about critical thinking. This is a problem that's been cooking for a while. For example, whenever I have to drive somewhere, I use maps, right? Or Google Maps, Apple Maps for directions every single time. It's like a habit, and it drives my dad nuts because he's way older and doesn't understand, why I can't just use my brain to figure out where to go and follow signs. And the man's got a point. I used to have to travel for baseball games as a kid, and the games would always be in some random ass town somewhere in the sticks. So my dad would drive me, obviously, and he would print out the directions on, what was that website called, dude? It was like MapQuest, it was called. There was no phone, there was no GPS, so we had to follow directions that were printed on paper or figure it out with a map, just follow the signs. And look, honestly, this sucked. If there's one thing that the phone is good for, it's directions. I mean, our asses would end up getting lost like every single weekend. We'd be pulling up to the parking lot. It would already be like the third or fourth inning. I'm like running into the dugout. But on my timeline, this is like the start of not having to think and to just be able to follow and just get answers, right? When Google came out, it was a big deal because information was now accessible to everyone. You no longer needed to look through recipe books, dictionaries, travel guides. Most of my life, those things were already patched out. You guys remember those huge yellow for dummy books? It would be like Getting Rich for Dummies. All that stuff was patched out because what Google did was make information something that you can just instantly have. Anytime you had a question or were debating something, you just Google the answer. We never really had to find answers. So it's no coincidence that at the same time, people are struggling to critically think. But now, now it's actually clipped because we got things like ChatGPT, we got things like Grok, which, Grok, I'm sorry, it's the dorkiest name they could have gave it. I mean, I can't even say it without laughing, but look, it's now past having information instantly available. Now we have intelligence instantly available, which might sound like a good thing, and in some ways it will be, but it's also the start of something so bad because, Google did not make anybody smarter, right? But now you can literally outsource thinking. And bro, I've already caught myself doing it so many times. And to be honest, I've been using ChatGPT way too much recently. I gotta chill out. Like, it's getting to the point where right when a thought pops up in my head, I'm like already asking Chat about it. And most of it's so dumb. And this is just ridiculous and embarrassing. But my ass asked ChatGPT if my fit was hard the other night before going out on a date. I took a picture in the mirror and gave ChatGPT a fit check. It was like, yeah, dude, your fit's hard. I was like, yeah, I know. And I walked out the door. But like, that's just me being a moron, obviously. But there's already studies dropping, which is crazy because it just came out a couple years ago. But the impact that things like ChatGPT is having on students and their brains, the students that are using it all the time, are showing lower brain activity, worse decision making, and like people are leaning on it hard at work. And how could you blame them, right? Especially if it's like a meaningless corporate job. I'd be like, Chat, respond to this nonsense email for me. It's like we all have Jarvis now. Jarvis, do my job, please. But on a real note, I don't want doctors, lawyers, lawmakers using ChatGPT, dude. Like, once these people stop thinking, like, what's gonna happen? Like, and look, there are good uses for Chat. They tore up the pavement on this road that's near my house, and I saw cobblestone, and I was like, yo, there's no way that that's from anytime soon. So I took a picture of it, and I asked Chat, I was like, when is this from? And I gave it like the street that I was on, and it told me the exact like 10-year range that it was from, which was like 1890s. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I would have never been able to Google that and like open up a history book. So there obviously is power when you have all this intelligence in your fingertips, and there's good things that can happen. But I think it's about to get real scary, dude. Like, this AI thing is not a fad. And, like I said, ChatGPT is literally just a predictive text box, basically telling you what you want to hear most of the time. And people are already getting cooked by it. But the real AI, will be way more intense than Grok, generating, Gooners, anime, pictures, and shit like that. If you really want to go down the AI rabbit hole, look up AGI and read a book. I mean, that's above the Paul and Walnut's grade for now. I'd love to make a video on it, but basically, just like all this other technology, it's just going to keep making us dumber. It's as simple as that. And while we're talking about getting dumber, if you look at success right now, or what has traditionally been defined as success, which is making a ton of money, the ways that that is being achieved are so dumb right now. It's dumber than it's ever been, actually. Kids have created generational wealth buying fart coin. I remember last year my ass tried to get in on the meme coin thing and got rugged on Winter Arc coin. Talk about being a dumbass, right? But if you look at success, it's dumb. Making a ton of money right now, the ways you can do it is insane. We have Sophie Rain out here making damn near the same amount as LeBron, right? So back in the day, if you were a moron, then that was it for you. You were the town moron, and that was that. But now you can be stupid and more successful than the people who spend their entire lives learning and educating themselves. I mean, I look at success differently, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think money is a good metric because some of the richest heads in the world end up being the most miserable, but it's still a fact that there has never been so many dumb ways to make such disgusting amounts of money as there are in 2025. So not only are we getting dumber, but the ways that people are coming up is getting dumber and dumber by the day. So how do we stop getting dumber, right? These videos are actually a great reminder for myself also. I'm sure you guys have picked up on this by now, but I am no monk who walks around with life all figured out. Like the past week or so, I've been stressing about some things, and so low-key without realizing it, I'm checking my phone more often. I'm listening to stupid shit that I don't care about. I'm not thinking. It's like I'm slipping from my routine a little bit. And it happens, bro. Life has ups, it has downs. Sometimes you don't want to think, right? But something I notice is the longer I go without catching myself, the more overwhelmed I feel and the dumber that I feel, right? So I'm glad to have some tactics to fall back on in these times, right? And the first, to avoid dumb-maxing, what I love to do, my favorite method, is reading books, dude. And I'm not saying reading's gonna make you smart all of a sudden. Nothing worse than a moron who thinks that, they're an expert on life because they read one book. But what it will do is heal your brain in ways that you cannot imagine, bro. And this is coming from someone who didn't start reading until a few years ago. If you told me in 2022 to read a book, if you gave me a book rec, I would be like, what are you, a clown? Are you kidding me? But since then, my attention span and my patience, two things that I was notoriously bad at, so bad I was borderline disabled, have gotten so much better. And, after using your phone all day, you try to read a book and it's hard, right? At least for me, it's like my thoughts are going nuts. I got to reread the same page 40 times. It's like my brain trying to figure out why I'm not getting 10 notifications and scrolling Twitter while looking at Instagram. It's like a muscle you need to train, right? But in the gym, you build those muscles up, you can keep them for a while. Where with my brain, I swear, it's like if I don't work it out every day, it'll just go to mush and I'll go back to the slop. And reading is the purest form of this, right? Of training this muscle. But really, you can train your patience and your attention span and your ability to think with anything. Even something as simple as just walking, dude. Just giving walking your undivided attention. It's kind of sweet. Like sometimes I'll walk around and I'll just be focusing on my steps. Which sounds nuts. I know I probably look like the town moron when I'm walking around doing this, but it feels great. It's like the internet used to be this escape that we had when we were growing up, but now the screens and the internet are something that I need to actively escape from to not become dumber than I already am, right? And that's why, like I said, I've been playing basketball. It's a perfect escape. I mentioned critically thinking and how that's becoming less and less common. There's an easy fix for that one, and it's thinking, right? Take 2 minutes out of your day, set a timer on your phone, and do nothing. Just sit there and do nothing for 2 minutes. Those first couple sessions are going to be weird. Your brain's going to be like tripping, right? But if you do that every day, the 2 minutes will become easy. Then do 5, then do 10, and watch what happens, dude. It's so easy. It's never been easier to not think, but it's also super easy to just sit there and think for 2 minutes. Like, why has that become such a tragedy? Like, everyone's so scared of boredom that, like, just sitting there with your own thoughts is, like, scary. But that's, I think, the key to life. Or one of them at least, right? And then, obviously, like, stop asking ChatGPT if your fit is hard or, if you should eat this or eat that. I don't know, shit like that, right? But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching and all the love recently. I need to probably stop for my mental health reading all the comments, but I always end up reading a ton of them. I just love hearing from you guys, and There's so many of you guys that I recognize commenting on every single video, just always showing mad love, and like, it's beautiful, man. I don't know, no Diddy, but I love you guys. So thank you. There's a lot more coming. Let me know, drop some tips for me. Like I said, these videos are a reminder for me too, right? I'm not perfect, pretty far from it, to be honest, but yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.